So, what is communication? In the simplest terms, communication is the sending and receiving of information from one person to another. But really, there's a lot more to it than just that. During our day to day lives, we engage in interpersonal communication with others. Interpersonal communication is how people exchange not only information but emotions and meanings with each other as well. It is a two-way process that involves a sender and a receiver. Essentially, it is a more in depth version of communication, where it's not just about what is being said and the language being used, but how it is being communicated to the receiver using both verbal and nonverbal communication on both ends. In order to truly understand communication and interpersonal communication, we must grasp why verbal and nonverbal communication are so important to the messages we convey, to how the messages we convey are received by our communication partners. When using verbal communications, we are using words, sounds, and noises to express ourselves. It's as basic as that, really. However, it is hard to gain much meaning from just verbal communication alone without the use of nonverbal communication to back it up. Nonverbal communication can include anything from facial expressions such as smiles and frowns to tone and pitch of voice and body language, also known as kinesics. It can also include physical distance between the communicators, which is proxemics. The use of these nonverbal signals give insight and additional information as to the general attitude of the message and the level of understanding from the receiver's end. Nonverbal messages help people reinforce and modify what is being said verbally, give information about the person's emotional state, and also define the relationship between the sender and the receiver. Like it was said in the recent YouTube presentation we watched on nonverbal communication is often more reliable than verbal because it's impulsive and unintentional. When a receiver uses gestures such as nods or facial expressions during an interaction, it is known as feedback. They can also give feedback verbally by paraphrasing or asking clarifying questions. Through paraphrasing, the receiver will give a brief summary of what has just been told to them in order to ensure they are fully understanding it. If there is confusion, they might ask clarifying questions in order to increase their understanding. This is still an extremely basic description of what communication really is, but I feel it describes many of the key aspects to communicating competently.